Today we are talking about working with headhunters and third-party recruiters so you can optimize those outcomes for you. Now, as you know, no one forces you to work with any specific headhunter or recruiter. The choice is entirely yours. But before you embark on that relationship, you probably will do well to vet your recruiter. Things you want to look for is their industry knowledge and experience. If you're a mining specialist, well, how deep does their connections and their experience and their understanding of the mining industry run? Or if they are a specialization or discipline-focused recruiter, what do they know about that discipline? What kind of roles have they filled in that discipline? Do they understand what you do to the level that they can to be able to place you successfully? Secondly, look at their track record. Ask the tough questions. How successful have they been? What seniority of roles and level of roles have they placed? Is that suited to the level that you are at? Now, of course, we know people can be at a level where they are very good and they're still stepping up to that next level, but you certainly don't want to work with someone who has been placing junior contractors if you are a senior executive. And then lastly, testimonials. You know, at the end of every LinkedIn profile, there's the recommendation section. Go and see what other people say about the experience of working with that specific headhunter or recruiter. Or if there's nothing there, ask them for testimonials or people that they can speak to who can actually speak into the experience they have had with them. Number 2, treat your recruiter that you have chosen as a trusted partner. Value the time and the effort that they put into doing this work. Remember, on the client side, if they are doing the job properly, there is a lot of time that goes in for them to actually go and get the scorecard for the position, reverse engineer what's really needed, then go to market to search the right candidates, and then prepare your resume in such a way that it talks into those pain points and those things that the client needs solved. It takes a lot of time to do a proper submission like that, and you don't want to dishearten them by having gone through that whole process and then they work in competition with other recruiters and find out your CV is already with that client. Make sure you disclose to them all other applications. Whether you have applied directly or whether it has been through other recruiters, they need to know where you have applied and where you are in the process. You know, it could be that this role is ideal for you and it's with the client that you are very interested in, but you're already far in another process and this one might take longer. If they don't know about those time issues, they actually can't manage it on your behalf. So make sure you show them and tell them about that. And then make sure that you keep a record, especially if you are in a longer career search process and it's just not that quick for you to get the next job. It's easy to forget who have positioned you or, sent your CV through to specific clients at what time. And you want to keep tabs on that you know who has submitted you for which roles to which clients and where that is in the process so that you can easily disclose it. The third thing you can do to really optimize this relationship is to make sure you respond to any requests for information speedily, whether it is a copy of your resume, whether it is an updated information on projects that you have worked on or key successes, whether it is copies of qualifications and salary information, whatever is required. Make sure that you work with them in tandem so that they can do the best job possibly to represent you accurately. It's important to empower them to represent you well. Now, this next part, number 4, I can't stress enough how important detailed feedback is. If someone has sent you on an interview and all you do is send them a WhatsApp back to say it went well, it's not enough information for them to manage the rest of the process. They need to know things like what additional information was requested by the client or promised by you to send through so that they can actually make sure it happens. They need to know if the client discussed anything with you around next steps in the process, maybe psychometric assessments or other tests that need to be done, what the timeline would be if they've created any expectation for when you can expect feedback and how quickly they want to fill the position. And of course, around compensation, very, very important. Whether it was very vague or very detailed, what was discussed, it's important that they know what expectations has been created on both sides so that they can then manage that process and continue to represent you accurately and make sure things happen the way that it should. Number 5, be transparent. You don't want to withhold any information that could affect the outcome. So, where you are with other opportunities, how those progress. Keep them updated at each step so that they can manage that on your behalf with the client. Things that could materially affect your start date, for example, pre-booked holidays, or if you have got a lengthy notice period beyond 30 days, maybe 60 or 90 days, they need to know about these things up front. The client certainly wouldn't want a surprise on those things when they have made an offer and thought they're going to have you on board at a certain time. Things like bonus and share payouts that are due. And if you leave now, you might forfeit them. But if you stay another 60 days, you get them. Well, if the client knows about that up front, they have got the option to either offer a sign-on bonus in addition to the compensation package, or they could say, look, we'll wait a little bit longer to have that person on board, let them get that money and then come, unless you're, of course, happy just to walk away from that. So these are little things that you can do to keep the trust intact. And, this trust would be both with your potential new employer as well as with your recruiter or headhunter. I'm reminded now of a situation that I'm in now where we've had a lovely young lady who started in a recruitment process with us at the end of December. Interviews with a client happened early in February, and they had a few delays on their side, and then COVID-19 hit, so they couldn't go on with the offer for her, and eventually the offer was made in the last 2 weeks. In the interim, she found out that she is pregnant. And that means now once she starts this new job, she will be on the job for 2.5 months before she will then be on her 4 months maternity leave. Now, as we all know, legally, she is under no obligation to disclose that. But morally, it makes more sense to actually let the client know about that before accepting the offer. This specific client is quite understanding that it's a part of life and they would have made a way around it. But it would be so much better if they knew up front that she was not going to be there for a key period of time, which they actually expected to have her on board to work on new projects. Now they need to make another plan, which puts them under additional pressure. And yes, they did delay with the offer, but you get what I'm saying. Little things that could start breaking down the trust or that could start getting a client to question what else you are withholding. That's not the way you want to go into a new job. You actually want to go in with things being as clear and honest and open as possible. So think of that. Number 6, no ghosting. It is so unprofessional and it really will get you blacklisted in a flash, both by potential employers as well as by recruiters or headhunters. Whether it is that your interest in the role has changed and you do not want to pursue that anymore, well, be professional enough to let them know about that. Or if you have got an interview set up, don't ghost and just not pitch up. Let someone know that you are not going to be attending beforehand, not 5 minutes after the interview started. And whether it is right at the level where you've already accepted a job, and then something changes, let them know about that. I heard a story in recent months of a director in the UK who accepted an offer, and on start date, he was just nowhere to be found or to be seen because he decided he did not want to take up this job anymore, but did not have the professionalism or the decency to let either the recruiter or headhunter or the client know about that. That muddies the waters for your future for sure. You want to make sure you treat others the way that you want to be treated. You would not like to be ghosted if you are very keen on bringing someone on board. And you're in this career for years to come. So the way that you walk now will affect the future outcomes. Do it right.